For an entire generation, people have experienced Star Wars the only way it's been possible, on the TV screen. But if you've only seen it this way, you haven't seen it at all.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
We've been waiting for you.
The force is strong here, even stronger than the coffee.
Welcome to Coffee with Kenobi. Here are your hosts, Dan Z. and Corey Clubb.
Hello, this is Corey Clubb, and welcome to show number 16 of Coffee with Kenobi, a new Star Wars podcast that analyzes their favorite saga in a whole new way. With me is my good friend and co-host, Dan Z.
Hello, everybody. A huge thank you to TNA wrestling superstar Gunner and the Cantina Cast's own Chad for sharing a coffee chat with us this week. We had an amazing time with these two and hope you get a chance to share their version of dark coffee. Not only did we talk Star Wars with them, we got some pretty cool insights into the world of professional wrestling. Be sure to check it out. We also want to thank everyone for sharing and liking our Facebook page. We jumped over 1,000 likes in the past week and are really appreciative of everyone for their continued support for our show. Star Wars fans stick together like no other, and we are grateful.
In today's show, we're fortunate to share a cup of coffee with Rancho Obi-Wan and Star Wars fan favorite Consetta Parker. Consetta is a former host of Full of Sith and publicist for Rancho Obi-Wan. She has incorporated Star Wars into her life in amazing ways. Consetta has been a blessing to Coffee with Kenobi and is one of the nicest, most passionate Star Wars fans you'll ever meet. We're happy to have her on to discuss our topic for show number 16, the impact of Star Wars on culture. And we look forward to sharing the discussion with this inspirational person.
We also have the next offering of your Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio featuring Rob Wainfur, as well as discuss Star Wars updates at Walt Disney World, Celebration Anaheim updates, and more. We'll also introduce our topic for show number 17. And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
Oh, wait. This is interesting.
You found something.
For our first news story, we have to do with Star Wars Weekends. Star Wars Weekends is coming up May 4th this year, and there's all kinds of things going on, and there's some news related to that as far as coming from Jedi News UK. The good folks over there have a nice little outline as far as the dining. And you know, Disney has a lot of delicious things to eat, but Dan, you've been there more times than I have. Could you kind of elaborate on some of that?
Yeah, the reason we made this our first news story, I'm sure there are other things that maybe we could cover, but this is great. If you've ever been to Walt Disney World, and of course anyone who's listened to our show knows how much Corey and I love Disney, at the Sci-Fi, they're going to have, usually when you go to the Sci-Fi, and there'll be a link to our show notes with a picture of what the restaurant normally looks like, but you have these old cars, like convertible cars, but they're turned into basically tables for you to sit at and have your dinner. And at one end of the restaurant, they have a giant movie screen that just shows old clips of old bad sci-fi stuff, and it's just really great and real kitschy, and the waitresses and waiters have rollerblades and roller skates, and they have delicious milkshakes. It's just a fun experience. Well, now, they've never done this before, but it's impossible to eat there as a Star Wars fan and not think, wouldn't it be cool if they would show Star Wars stuff here? Well, now they're going to. It was just announced on the 27th of March that between May the 4th and June 18th, people can have a special dinner there, and you can have your picture taken personally with Darth Vader, and they're going to be showing clips from the Star Wars films. It's going to be a really, really neat experience. The meal price is $47.99 for adults and $29.99 for kids, and we're not naive. I mean, of course, Disney's doing this to make even more money than they already have, and okay, that's fine. They're bringing us more Star Wars, so we're not going to complain there. It'd be something that if I lived in the Orlando area, I would have to do at least once. I mean, it's very, very cool. Apparently, the Jawas, Greedo, Stormtroopers are going to be there too. They're also doing a thing where you can go to the Hollywood and Vine, and they're having a character breakfast where Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Goofy and Chip and Dale are all going to be dressed up as Star Wars characters, and so just get a lot of really fun things. This is just even more examples of how Disney is going to get a return on their investment, and they're going to invest in all these cool Star Wars things at Disney World. My brother's going to be there during this time. Hello, Sean. This is a shout out to you. More from him later in the show. But it's just going to be something really, really neat to experience. Our next news story is pretty interesting. It says that Pinewood Studios is going to be utilizing reflective glass for Lucasfilm. So basically what that means is privacy. Imagine that. J.J. Abrams is using privacy, and of course, P.S. Thank goodness he is. I don't want to get any of these secrets out or spoilers, but we've been talking about this ad nauseum. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's only fitting. I mean, because they're trying to do, stuff behind the scenes, trying to get things ready and get things organized. And I know that they're winding up to the start of the production, and they start shooting and doing principal photography and things like that. So that's major. I mean, that's big stuff. And so a lot of people are, chomping the bit to just get a little picture, get a little insight, and that's just taking precaution. That's good enough for me. So I'm ready to see some official stuff come out and see some news stuff come out from officially online. So I'm excited to see what comes up next.
Absolutely, and I think it's cool too, because even now that when they're filming the sequel to Avengers, whenever they're shooting something from outside, there are always people like in helicopters and stuff taking pictures of things. I don't want to see anything like that. I just want to, just like Consetta will say later in our discussion, when episode 7 comes out, I want to go in the theater and just be in complete awe and wonder, just take it all in, because this is going to be an amazing experience we never thought we'd have.
Absolutely. Our next news story has to do with the Celebration Anaheim. It's coming basically this time next year. Getting pretty close to that time frame. We're already gearing up. We've got our tickets ready to go. We're excited. So they still got tickets available, so get online and check it out and get things ready. So Mary Franklin had some things to say as far as her official blog. She had some announcements that are coming soon for Celebration Anaheim, and I'll announce some guests, special guests, and maybe some events and things that are going on, some breakout sessions. I would love to be able to do a panel on podcasting, do something like that. That'd be excellent, a lot of fun. What do you think, Dan?
Don't even know if that will come to fruition or not, but keep your fingers crossed and your lightsabers ignited and ready to celebrate. Stay tuned for further details.
And now, let's join Rob Wainfur as he pours our extra special Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio.
And now, your Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio.
Hi everyone, welcome to another Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio with me, Rob Wainfur from the Bearded Trio. Coming up, we've got some Jurassic World news, a little bit of Spielberg news, and a new Kickstarter campaign which you may be interested in. But before all that, I just want to remind you of the competition that we started in the last show, where you can win a copy of the LucasArts book, Rogue Leaders. And it's so easy to win this book. All you got to do is tweet, "I've just listened to @the Bearded Trio" on @Coffee with Kenobi. That's it. I've just listened to @the Bearded Trio on @Coffee with Kenobi. If you tweet that, I will pick that up, and I will pick a winner at random to win this fabulous book, Rogue Leaders, that documents everything from LucasArts and Lucasfilm Games, right from the beginning of the history, all the way up to The Force Unleashed. And it's got some amazing stories, behind the scenes, pictures, concept art, and it's a prize definitely worth winning. So that's all you got to do is tweet, "I've just listened to @the Bearded Trio" on @Coffee with Kenobi. That grumpy T-Rex means it's Jurassic World news, and the first story is that concept artwork has found its way onto the web for Jurassic World. Now, the artwork looks like it's some kind of resort. It's on a cliff top overlooking a luxurious ocean scene, obviously for rich visitors to visit this new Jurassic Park. They will never learn from their mistakes. Now, the artwork is very, very impressive. It's from Nathan Schroeder. He's an artist who recently worked on Avengers Assemble, Star Trek, and The Hunger Games. I've put the artwork on the beardedtrio.com, so if you head over there, you'll see this artwork. It's definitely worth having a look. It's very, very impressive. Now, Real Tours Hawaii, who specialize in movie tours around Hawaii, have posted some new photos of the Jurassic World sets being made, and in particular, the latest ones are a massive helipad being made, and it's definitely worth checking out. I get the impression that this is going to be featured quite heavily in the movie. So if you type in Real Tours Hawaii, now Real is spelled REEL, into Facebook, Real Tours Hawaii, type it into Facebook and go over to their Facebook page. You will see the brand new sets being made for Jurassic World. It's definitely worth checking out. And finally, Jake Johnson has confirmed his involvement in Jurassic World in several interviews. The actor was recently interviewed by Huffington Post and by Vulture, and in both interviews he confirmed his role. He has actually worked with Colin Trevorrow before. He worked on the 2012 Safety Not Guaranteed movie. And when asked about Jurassic World in the Vulture interview, he said, "I haven't shot it yet. I will shoot at the end of July." So that's definitely a confirmation that Jake Johnson is in Jurassic World. Emmy Award-winning pianist Gloria Cheng has started a Kickstarter project to fund the making of a CD and a short documentary. Now, the CD will include original piano pieces by some of the greatest soundtrack composers, including Bruce Broughton, Don Davis, Michael Giacchino, Randy Newman, and of course John Williams. Now, the project is called Montage, and as Gloria Cheng puts it, it's there to shine a light on the composers, and in particular their concert music, which often gets overlooked by their amazing movie work that they do. There's also going to be a video to accompany the CD as well, which she's going to be uploading to YouTube, showing you the concert and going behind the scenes, getting up close and personal with these composers. And here's a clip from the Kickstarter video.
I'm Gloria Cheng. I'm a Los Angeles-based pianist. Here in LA, I've had the opportunity to work with some of our era's greatest composers. Being based in LA, I've also met and worked with some of today's greatest composers for motion pictures. That, too, has been an honor and a privilege. I'm looking for your help in supporting the making of a CD and a short film of my new project, which is called Montage. It features new solo piano pieces by today's greatest film composers. This project grew out of having had two pieces written as gifts for me by Bruce Broughton and another by John Williams. Having had these two pieces in hand, I wondered if a few other composers from that realm would be interested in writing a solo piano piece. So in addition to John Williams and Bruce Broughton, we've got original new piano pieces by Don Davis, the composer of the Matrix trilogy, Michael Giacchino, who is known for Ratatouille, Up, and Star Trek, and Randy Newman, singer-songwriter and composer on The Natural and Toy Story and Cars. Alexandre Desplat offered a recent work that he had composed for Lang Lang. These composers are known worldwide for their film scores, but they also compose a great deal of concert music, a fact that sometimes becomes eclipsed by the stupendous popularity of their film scores. My passion has always been working with composers and collaborating, discussing, probing, and working together to bring the music on the page to life. With this project, I intend to shine a light on the music that this legendary group of composers write when no one is looking over their shoulders. All of them, with the exception of Alexandre, will be present at the recording sessions. We'll be making a short film with the intention of uploading it on YouTube so that their millions of fans can share in the experience of an intimate recording session. I hope you'll find it a worthy project and that you'll support it. Thank you.
And if you want to find out more about this Kickstarter campaign, then head over to our website, thebeardedtrio.com, and you'll find the Kickstarter widget on the right-hand side in the sidebar. Just a little bit of Spielberg news for you, and a few weeks back we reported that the director was up for a Lincoln Leadership Prize. The prize recognises individuals who exemplified the spirit of the 16th president, and last week the award took place. 700 guests gathered to see the director receive his award, and he received his award from Lincoln star Sally Field. So another trophy there for his cabinet. I'm sure it's an already overcrowded cabinet, but Steven Spielberg picks up the Lincoln Leadership Prize. Well, that wraps up another Espresso Shot with the Bearded Trio. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to enter our competition to win that fabulous LucasArts book, Rogue Leaders. You can follow the Bearded Trio on Twitter. Just type in the Bearded Trio, and we're also on Facebook as well. If you want to leave me any feedback or you'd like something included in the show, then feel free to email me at rob@thebeardedtrio.com. I would love to hear from you. So that's it. I'm going to hand you back to you, Coffee with Kenobi host now. So until next time, thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Han Solo, Rebel Soldier, Lando Calrissian, and Bespin Guard, each sold separately. From Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back Collection, new from Kenner.
Looking? Found someone you have, I would say, Your lightsabers will make a fine addition to my collection.
Collector's news for this week. We don't have much going on that we really are going to cover this time, but I do want to say that Jason Fry has a new Star Wars Rebels novel that's coming out, and the title is revealed to be Servants of the Empire, Edge of the Galaxy. So that's going to be pretty cool, and it's going to be a children's novel, and all it is an original story set in the world of Rebels. Don't really know much about it at this time, but it's going to be, I'm looking forward to this, but I'm really more looking forward to seeing where the EU goes and how the EU handles the Rebels areas. And we already know that, of course, that area of time has already been written about a lot, but it's not since they've revitalized the canon, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Absolutely, and seeing this merchandise kind of pop up had some stuff on Amazon, and kind of some of the products was kind of like just out there. A lot of stuff was kind of some junior novels and some other things like that, just gearing things up for that start of that production, and it's exciting. It really is. Just to see things trickle in like that, I think it's neat because they're probably getting excited. They have things gearing up, ready to go on their end, and they're excited to talk about it and excited to get it out there to fans. And so I'll just wait to see what's next.
Hi, this is Consetta Parker from Rancho Obi-Wan, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. With Dan Z and Corey Clubb, this is the podcast you're looking for.
Luke, you're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
I must be allowed to speak.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
Our topic for show number 16 is the impact of Star Wars on culture. Joining us on this long-ranging topic is Rancho Obi-Wan Director of Publicity and owner-founder of Parker Publicity, Consetta Parker. Consetta is a former co-host on Full of Sith and a huge Star Wars fan who has amazing stories of how Star Wars has impacted her culturally, both in her profession as well as in her private life, and her stories will blow you away. She is a fan favorite and wonderful person, and we are happy to share a cup of coffee with her. Welcome, Consetta.
Thank you so much. That was like the sweetest intro.
Absolutely.
That cup of coffee doesn't even need any sugar. That's very sweet. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it's very easy to tell the truth. So we're happy to do that. And you are the perfect person for this topic because of all your amazing stories. And I'm sure fans know a great deal because of all the amazing things you've done. But what have you seen as far as the impact that Star Wars has had on culture, both from a perspective of society as well as popular culture?
Oh, that's a good question. Because I think especially since I remember when nobody knew what Star Wars was. There was the whole blank slate, the world, the pre-SW, pre-Star Wars, because I was fortunate enough to see it when it originally came out in the theaters in 1977. So I know how it affected me as a kid, as a child, and how it really sparked my imagination and love of film and wanting to know how I could get to that galaxy far, far away. And then realizing that I wasn't the only one. And that I would see my friends, and then I would see TV commercials, and then I would go to the store and I was like, oh wow, there's these action figure things, and how I've kind of seen that just as an individual just grow so exponentially over the years right in front of me. And before social media, I felt very isolated as a kid, even, through high school and college and everything. And now with the wonders of social media and Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and everything else, and you see how easy it is to find other people throughout the world that have that passion of Star Wars that you do, and how, and it's not just people from California or the United States, it's people all over the world. And I've had that feeling so many times of, wow, oh man, I wished I would have known all of you when I was 6 years old. We all could have played together. We all could have shared in this wonderful thing that we have discovered, which is Star Wars. And And now the fact that I think a lot of us that were little at that time have found each other now, I think says a great deal about who we are as a society, who we are, how we think. I mean, that's one of the key things that's important to me in looking for someone as a friend or a companion or anybody I want to talk to is, do you like Star Wars? It's kind of a deal breaker. And I think it's interesting to see the different levels that Star Wars has brought in, not just the way we think or how we pick a movie or a book, but how we kind of feel about each other. And in some ways that can be very, very good. And, you get that whole, the fandom and the sense of community. But I think what kind of probably one of the negatives, I think, or something that bothers me, I don't want to say that it would bother anybody else, but I think it might, is that there's also kind of that sense of entitlement building among the fans. And that is something that has been very new for me, I would say, over the past several years. That was something that I had never experienced before, personally or with anybody that I knew that loved Star Wars. And so now, and all of a sudden, with all the rumors, rumor control and rumor alert, and is this real? And with everybody wanting to know everything. And it's not just that, but also people, if you hear something, whether it's true or not, if somebody doesn't like it, there's all this hatred that comes out, or true anger about, oh, no, that can't happen. And I still can't quite wrap my head around that. I think that the Star Wars fandom is kind of morphing, and we're in that time of kind of critical change and excitement and upheaval. It's like this huge mix, and I think it'll be interesting over especially the next year and a half, how things will kind of settle, so to speak, or how will the dust settle as far as everybody wanting Star Wars Episode 7 to turn out the way, quote unquote, they want it to.
And the amount of pressure for that, and I'm assuming that Abrams is not even going to regard that because he's a professional, but I'm sure it's daunting if he would let it be that way.
Right. And there is no way that every single person is going to be happy with Star Wars Episode 7. Just like there's no way everybody's going to be happy when they see any movie. There's something in it for everyone. And I think... well,
look at how everyone reacted to Episode 1.
Yeah. And that was tough. For me, I was so excited because it was another Star Wars movie. Was I disappointed? Yes. Did I love it? Absolutely. And as I've gotten older, I think I've really understood that Phantom Menace was, for a whole other generation, what A New Hope was for me. If I would have seen Phantom Menace when I was 6 years old, I would have loved Jar Jar. I would have loved young Anakin. But my demographic changed, and it wasn't, and I think some of that gets lost, and there was so much animosity towards Jar Jar. I have a little stuffed Jar Jar, and I was afraid to tell people that because I thought that I would be ridiculed. Yes. So it's one of those, I'm like, when they announced there would be an Episode 7, I cried. And I know I'm not the only one that cried, because these were words that I never thought that I would hear again. And deep down, as a Star Wars fan, I could not be more excited, not just on a selfish basis. I'm excited for me because I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm also excited for all the people that this will be a new experience for them. And it's meant so much to us in the here and now. Why wouldn't we want more and more people and future generations and little kids and people of all ages to have their Star Wars, if it's going to be so completely different, or they'll find something in it that maybe we won't see. But that's kind of the magic of it, is that there's something from any of the movies, whether it's a character or a planet or a storyline, whatever, that we can all connect to on some level. So I think if it's just simple that, okay, it's going to be more Star Wars, and that's awesome. So let's be really happy. We're all going to go see it, whether we all complain or fuss or not. We'll all go because deep down we're Star Wars fans, and I want to love it, and I love that I'm excited about it, and that's what I want to hold on to. I don't want to know all the details. I didn't have to know before I saw episode 4, 5, and 6. I knew nothing. Went into it and loved it. I don't want spoilers. I don't want
us either.
I just want to go in and sit down in the theater and be completely surrounded by Star Wars again in that theatrical experience. And if I happen to be, next to a kid that's never seen a Star Wars movie before, that's super awesome for them and for me to be able to share that moment with another person that could be affected by Star Wars the way I was when I was 6 years old.
Absolutely.
And it makes us happy. So it makes me sad when everybody gets so angry.
Yeah.
It's a colossal waste of time to be mad about something that you're supposed to make you happy, or if it really bothers you that much, there are plenty of other things to occupy your time with.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I am not a petition person when it comes to entertainment or film, things like that. Because I've been asked to, it's like, let's do this and do that. And I'm like, that of all the things going on in the world, if I'm going to be, involved in a fight, it'll be for the Humane Society of the United States, to help animals in need, or a spay and neuter campaign, not to remove this particular line producer or whatever. I just, I don't know. So I try to stay out of that because I know how passionate people are about it, but it just makes me sad that anybody would be that upset over the fact that we're going to have more. It's a gift.
Yes,
I'm excited.
Absolutely. You said you got to experience it back when originally debuted, and I'll say that I'm 32 years old and I've got little kids. And I think what people forget too is that there is a brand new fandom coming up. They're gonna, like you said, they're gonna start with episode 7, and the animated show Rebels and stuff like that, and be able to experience those life impacting experiences for movies and cinema. And I would hope that the fandom as a whole would realize that, and kind of just kind of give it for what it is and be able to enjoy it, like you said. And you said it so well. You've got some great life experiences, and I'm curious to know a little bit too, that how has Star Wars as a whole and as culture impacted and permeated your life directly?
In every way possible, which that didn't really hit me until recently, I think. That when I really started thinking about it and, kind of started in the here and now and went all the way back. And I was like, wait, it really did start when I was 6. And I loved Star Wars, and I became very interested in movies. And I wanted to know how does somebody become Princess Leia? How did they make that spaceship explode? So I had, 3 distinct passions as a kid by the time I was 7, which was movies and animals and radio. And so pretty much all my major life choices, including courses that I took in college and once regarding a person that I actually went out with, was all kind of based on a Star Wars philosophy, or would this help an animal? How I've been really lucky to work in all 3 elements throughout the course of my life. But it was one of those things that Star Wars always just kind of appeared to me. And mostly, it was Harrison Ford, Han Solo. It seemed like if I was having some type of a bad day, I remember being terrified to go into one of my English classes in high school, and I walked in, and my teacher had a set of Star Wars Burger King posters up on the wall, and there was Han Solo and Chewbacca. Put my mind at ease. I was like, see,
nice.
It's there.
The high school English teachers, they're the best.
I know, right? So I was like, yeah. And, in 4th grade when I was getting picked on, and that's when I found out that one of my best teachers ever, Mr. Hurt, and we were his first class, and he pulled me aside and he said, I love Star Trek, but I love Star Wars too. And It's, if I'll draw you a picture of the Millennium Falcon if you can overcome this and ignore what so-and-so said, and, moments.
Yeah,
and
cool.
we're still in touch.
Nice.
Because that was a moment, and all these things, Star Wars, and, getting into radio randomly and being able to do some Star Wars spoof things for like April Fool's parades and things like that, and randomly meeting somebody that runs a company that represents all the major motion picture studios to do publicity and promotions within the Midwest. And I end up supervising that office and then working with DreamWorks and Paramount and Warner Brothers and 20th Century Fox, which was a dream come true. And because I really wanted to understand all the behind the scenes element of it. And it's just how everything just kind of fell into place. And a lot of it was just like, I always say random. It was totally random. And a lot of things came up just by a simple conversation. And many times it was about Star Wars. It's just that general connection. It's like, hey, do you like baseball? Yeah, I do. It's really that simple. And that's how deeply woven I think it is into the culture, as far as that you can say Star Wars and pretty much every single person knows what you're talking about. And it really connected me with a passion within me that I knew it was something that made me happy when I was little. And it still makes me happy. And I'm so happy that I get to work within the world of Star Wars on levels that I never thought possible. Regarding working with the talent directly involved with it, working with Lucasfilm, being at Skywalker Ranch, being at Big Rock Ranch, meeting Steve Sansweet because he heard about the story of me marrying a stormtrooper and he reached out to us, and now Steve is like family, and I am blessed enough to work with him and help support Rancho Obi-Wan. And to me, Rancho is like just exactly what we've been talking about, as far as everything's there over the past 35 years. Everything Star Wars, the culture, it's not just toys and items, it's memories. And you walk through and you see all these things from our generation and our childhood, and then people from all over the world, from items all over. And it's ever growing, and there's so much history and excitement and fandom and community there. And I get excited when I think of future generations being able to go there. Yeah. That it's not just for me. I want Rancho Obi-Wan to be there for generations to come. That we just happen to be the first ones, just like we were the first ones for, the original trilogy or the prequel, that will kind of set that tone so that the story of Star Wars and how it's been such a part of all of us within the confines of Rancho Obi-Wan, that everybody can go there and share in that feeling. And because it really is an experience, whether you're a huge Star Wars fan or not, it's just awesome because it just radiates this joy, and it's cool and it's awesome. And I get excited every time I go. Completely understand how lucky I am that I can run around in there by myself in my stocking feet and
that's awesome.
Just do cartwheels. And even though Steve's like, "Don't run,
stop running with that, put that down."
That's like you're a little kid at the swimming pool.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's awesome, and I want everybody to have that opportunity, which is why it really, it's not just a job to me. It really is a personal mission of the importance.
Passion.
It is, an absolute passion to the core. Because if I was 6 and I'd heard about Rancho Obi-Wan, that would have, someday I'll go there, and dreams do come true. And
and if Corey and I were in Central Illinois, I'm sure we'd be very much regulars at the ranch. So I cannot wait till the first time that we get to go there and check that out. It's going to be amazing, just amazing. Honestly, the best thing is that you have real joy and passion, and you appear to have not a single insincere bone in your body. So this is the kind of stuff that we like on the show. It's great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Consetta. In a world that leans toward anti-heroes and dystopian storytelling, How has Star Wars continued to remain at the top of fandom to this day?
Because it's awesome.
Answer done. Okay.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Your waitress.
It just, I don't know if it was. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always Star Wars, and just like I know for some people, it's always been Star Trek, and I think that it has stayed on top because it's one of those that I think kind of opened the door for every other fandom, which again just makes it more awesome. It's true, it's pure, it's real, and I do think though that because of the time and when it happened, and not to say anything particular about talking about my generation, even with just the toys and the marketing and the exposure, you could say that, but I deep down really think it was just the movie itself and the mass impact and that it had on so many and it just stuck. Just like, a couple of years before that Jaws was the major, like your first blockbuster, because that certainly stuck in the psyche and for obvious reasons. And that movie is phenomenal. And I love Roy Scheider and I could talk about him for days, but I won't babble about Roy Scheider right now. There's certain moments I think within our entertainment culture, you have those milestones. And I do think that Star Wars was one of those. And that it has opened that door for so many others. And I think there's a respect and appreciation there from other fandoms. It's a mutual respect. Like obviously Star Wars is first and foremost to me, but I do respect and love Star Trek for what it did for Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that there's always that connect within all of it, and that it doesn't try to disconnect itself in any way.
Well, and plus, I think people, like you mentioned, people like hope. There's a reason that A New Hope is so powerful and resonates, besides the history of the storytelling and just what impact it's had on culture that you covered so beautifully. But people want hope, and all this dystopian stuff is fine. It's not my particular cup of coffee, per se, but it has its place. But the Star Wars gives optimism and that belief in that you're destined for something greater, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes, and it's your basic, you got your good, you have your evil, and good will win. That, you can, it's very, you got the good, the bad, and the ugly, and there it is, and don't give up, and that you can believe, and that the little guy can come out on top. And
plus lightsabers are awesome.
What color lightsaber would you pick?
Blue.
Yeah, blue.
I don't even need to think about it.
Yeah, instant.
Interesting. If you could have any color lightsaber, what would it be?
Still blue, my favorite color.
See, any color.
Plus Luke in Empire has blue. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
that's true.
What about you two?
Like I would still go blue. I think you're right.
You're gonna say pink. You and Christian Barr, right?
Yeah. If I could have any, I would probably go pink. Hello Kitty pink. Yeah, but if I had to pick, I'd probably go with the blasters.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ooh, we could go into a whole different.
We're gonna have to. You're gonna have to be a boomerang guest. We're gonna have you keep coming back.
About what where would you really land within? Remember having that feeling of, I don't know that I would actually be a Jedi. I think I'm too emotional. Does that make me a Sith? Do you have those thoughts when you were like 10 and 11? No, just me.
No, as well. I mean, and back then we didn't even know the impact of how forbidden it was to have emotions until, of course, Luke came in and knocked some sense into the universe and brought compassion back as the order of the day, which is, we could talk about that forever too. Now, I know your time is very precious and you've got to go feed the Tauntauns, but before you go, I would be remiss if I had you on the show, if Corey and I had you on, and we didn't ask you to, and if that's even possible, to briefly kind of tell us about your amazing history with your husband and that you did, in fact, marry a stormtrooper.
Oh, yeah. I did. I actually there were 2 birthday wishes that I made. One when I was 6 and one when I was 7. The first was that I would someday meet Han Solo. And the second, that I would someday meet a boy that loves Star Wars as much as I did. And, again, going back to the whole, that Star Wars gives you hope. I never lost that hope, and I never let anybody try and take that away from me, which I think Star Wars helped me be true to myself. And, I did meet Harrison Ford, which I thought that was the best day ever, until I met a stormtrooper on May the 4th. It was actually May the 4th, 2005.
Wow.
At Skywalker Ranch while I was working the Revenge of the Sith press junket, which I was at Skywalker Ranch, just holding back tears. I was so blissfully happy. That was work-wise a dream come true, because that's why I got it, in the industry. I'm like, someday maybe I'll actually get to go to Skywalker Ranch. And that all happened within 2 days that somebody else got sick and they needed me. So I got to go and just happened to be at the right place at the right time on the back porch of the main house. I heard on the walkies that, if anybody wants, because I was working with the national TV, and if anybody needs it's like, if anybody needs a stormtrooper or Chewbacca for B-roll, and I'm like, I'll take a stormtrooper and Chewbacca back of them, And here came a stormtrooper at 9:00 that morning. Bucket off, which I didn't know until after that he always had his bucket on, because you want to be canon in the 501st.
Sure.
But he had his bucket off underneath his arm, and to me, I saw Han Solo. I'm gonna get all teary-eyed just thinking. I saw Han Solo walking towards me, and he took my breath away. And I remember, because when I'm working, I'm in total work mode, and I do not waver. And I'll never forget that moment. And of course, I couldn't think of anything else. What was the first thing I said to him? Any guesses?
Short for a stormtrooper?
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? Yeah. And I was thinking, stupid. And he said, no, actually, I'm a little tall. And we had that kind of, smile and grin. And he was there because we were actually waiting for George Lucas to come for his interview. And that's how taken I was with this stormtrooper, is that I'd forgotten momentarily that George was coming.
You skipped over George for the stormtrooper.
So,
huh? That's awesome.
So later that night, we did a special screening at the Tech Building in the Stag Theater of Revenge of the Sith, and I actually got to sit by my stormtrooper for that screening. And the minute that the lights went dark, the music started. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away hits the screen. He reached over and took my hand, and I knew that minute that I'd found the boy that loved Star Wars as much as I did.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's
we've
really
been
cool.
Pretty much inseparable since then. So I went back to LA.
Wow.
And pretty much, I was there for a couple more months, but then I moved up here to Northern California to marry my stormtrooper, the boy of my dreams. And I called my parents and said, I met a stormtrooper. And they were like, of course you did. We can't wait to meet him. Like, not surprised at all. Absolute dream come true. And so that's why I just don't ever stop believing and knowing that passion is real. And we all have those connections, and people may think it's just ridiculous. Oh, it's Star Wars. You know what? Star Wars has given me more joy and happiness and the love of my life, and personally and professionally. So I believe, and I it makes me happy to know that other people in the now and in the future could also find that happiness that on some level that we all have. And I'm getting all emotional.
Well, you should. I mean, it's like not only are you living the fan dream of working in Star Wars and with Star Wars and getting to meet George Lucas, but this is like the ultimate Star Wars fantasy, to meet the love of your life, to meet your soulmate through something that you love so much. That's Star Wars. And I think that's amazing. And I think I can speak for Corey when I say, when you were telling that story, the only time I've smiled so much during a taping of Coffee with Kenobi besides this is when we were talking to James Arnold Taylor. So thank you for that.
It was awesome. Very emotional. Very good.
I can't wait to let people are going to love this, of course. And I know you've said a lot of this on Full of Sith too, so we appreciate you sharing this story.
Well, thank you for asking me all now. And I know he's out, he's out playing Diablo 3 right now. So I'll go out and he has his headphones on and that. And I'll be like, oh, baby, I was just talking about you. And he'll be like, I know, I love you so much. Can we talk about Star Wars now? Hang on just a second.
Okay, Consetta, so what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Empire Strikes Back. There. Yeah, it's always been Empire. Near and dear to me. I love them all, but yeah, Empire. I still get, goosebumps when I think about Empire.
Okay, your favorite Star Wars character?
That's a trick question. And I think that, what day is it? Today's
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. If I could be all politically correct and say all the right thing. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and because of my job, and I love Obi-Wan, absolutely. But Han Solo was always, he was the first one that I felt actually spoke to me. I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way, but yeah, first person I ever thought actually looked at me and spoke to me directly off of a movie screen, and I was pretty taken at 6 years old. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if you're going to say something about a tauntaun at that moment.
Well, tauntauns.
Oh, is that a character? It's a creature.
Sure, why not?
It is. I mean, I love tauntauns so much. Like, seriously, if I could snap my fingers and have like a house full of tauntauns, I would totally do that. And salacious crumbs and banthas and dewbacks. Yeah, I really do. I love the creatures. Zila Beast, I'm still waiting on a stuffed Zila Beast that Dave Filoni said that he was going to make, but
that would be cool. My son has a stuffed tauntaun, I think I mentioned this before, and today he kept kissing it. I thought that was pretty cute.
Oh, that's see? Yeah, how could you not kiss a tauntaun?
Right, that's good parenting, I think.
That's a good kid. Yeah. Yeah. Gold star for your kid. All right.
So, favorite line of dialogue or film moment?
Oh, geez. Again, what? I mean, we all have those moments that we really that really stuck with us. I'm just trying to think.
Well, you could make it up. We wouldn't know if you were telling the truth.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember being really moved. I guess it was a way to say it. I was 9. But when Obi-Wan appears to Luke, when Luke's face down on Hoth after escaping the Wampa, and he's telling them about, you must go to the Dagobah system, and Luke is like reaching out to him, and then when he comes through on his tauntaun and takes him, and that whole scene, everything that was said, for some reason, really affected me as far as it was one of those never give up hope, always believe that someone is there watching over you, that Ben really wasn't gone, and that death wasn't the end. It was one of those kind of, I don't know, as a kid, I was thinking about things that I'd never really taken into consideration before, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And even when again, Obi-Wan, tells Luke, Yoda will always be with you. Do or do not, there is no try. That is why you fail. So I don't think there is any wrong answer. Anything I think anybody says from any of the Star Wars films,
Yeah, and the only thing that would have been wrong is if you said, when they put E.T. in the closet with all the stuffed animals.
Oh, see, we could sit and talk about E.T. for hours. I love E.T.
I do too.
And side note, Steve Sansweet used to have the world's largest ET collection. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Did he? Really?
Sure. Wow.
I got to help him go through it. It was so exciting. But that's a whole other story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so if you collect, what's your favorite collectible that you own?
Oh, this is going to be a good question for you.
Oh, my goodness.
It has to be something you own, not Steve Sansweet.
Exactly. We have things in our house that Steve doesn't have. So when he comes here, he walks around and he points things out, and he'll look at Anne and say, Anne, do we have this? And I go, no, I know you don't have that. And then we'll, and there's been things that I've had duplicates of that I've given him. So, because there's just so much. I mean, everywhere you go and anywhere you look, you can find different things.
Do you ever have to slap his hand and tell him no?
Make him empty his pockets when he
No. No, I'm like, I said, we have a lot of signs up at Rancho that say, please do not touch. Mm-hmm. I said, we don't have that at our house, Steve, so you can pick up and touch it and take it out of the box. They're happy things that he's not been able to take out of the box before. I was like, it's okay. You're probably one of the things that is the most near and dear to me would be my Darth Vader action figure collector case. Because my dad and mom went to great lengths to get me that, for Christmas. Because I grew up in Southern Indiana and we could not find one anywhere. And I really, really, really wanted it. My dad was a truck driver, so I did not know. But as he was traveling all over the country, he was going to like different Airways and 3D and different department stores looking for it. And he found one in Laredo, Texas.
Wow.
And he brought it. I know all this now, what he went through to get it on the airplane and bring it back. And it was wrapped and ready. And that was like an absolutely spectacular Christmas morning. Because most people have probably heard me complain at one time or another that I have been working since I was 10. Because to earn money so that I could buy Star Wars toys, I actually went to work in the melon fields as a kid.
Wow.
In Indiana. So I planted cantaloupes and watermelons and pumpkins and turned vines and did the whole thing. So I earned all my own money to buy that. And I was going to buy my own Darth Vader collector case, but we couldn't find one. So that was pretty awesome that my folks did that. And my dad actually mentioned it during when he gave his toast to me and my trooper at our wedding.
That's cool.
He remembers getting that and how excited I was, and that he had no idea what that actually would lead to, and that I would still have it. And so, yeah, it's pretty special.
That's great. So, and this ties in perfectly to our next question too. What particular messages or themes about the Star Wars saga resonate or speak to you?
I think, deep down, it's what I believe speaks to so many of us, that regardless of where you're from, that great and wondrous magical things can happen to you. Being in Southern Indiana in the middle of nowhere and on a rural route that my husband still doesn't understand how I could not possibly have had a house number and that the mail miraculously got to us. Seeing Luke Skywalker as a moisture farmer on Tatooine and walking around and, kicking rocks and dust. And I was like, oh, yeah, not that I wanted anything horrific to happen to leave, but just to see what he was able to accomplish, even with what appeared to be such small beginnings. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody can make a difference. And at the core of it, I think that's what really fundamentally spoke to me as a kid, and that has stuck with me.
Excellent. Well, we Consetta, we appreciate your time so much. You were an absolute joy and delight. You did not disappoint. Real quickly, where can people get in contact with you if they have any Star Wars questions or just want to say thank you for sharing your story?
Oh, that's sweet. Let's see. Probably the easiest place is on Twitter. I am at Parker Publicist on Twitter. You can always go to parkerpublicity.com and there's, contact me there. There's a couple different email addresses as well as ranchoobi1.org. You can contact me through there as well. And be sure to follow Rancho Obi-Wan at Rancho.
Well, we certainly will, and as always on our main page at coffeewithkenobi.com, we have a place where you can donate to Rancho Obi-Wan, and we try to put as much on there as we can because not only do we want to publicize and get the word out about Rancho Obi-Wan, as every Star Wars fan knows where it is, but Corey and I can't wait to get out there and meet everybody face to face someday as well.
We're gonna have so much fun when you come.
Oh, it'll be great.
So much fun. We always have cookies. It'll be a blast.
Oh yeah,
we like cookies.
Cookies will bring us, yes.
Consetta, thank you again so very much for being on Coffee with Kenobi and sharing a cup of coffee with us, and we certainly hope you'll come back again because we had a great time.
I would love to come back. Thank you both so much. And with the last swig of coffee, I just want to say thank you and group hug, and may the Force be with you.
Thanks so
and
much.
And also with you.
Bye. Our topic for show number 17 is the incredible book, The Star Wars Heresies. The book examines the more intriguing themes, metaphors, and philosophy behind the Star Wars prequels. What did the book teach you about critically looking at the prequels? What were some of the chapters that inspired you the most? What did you find most challenging? And in 500 words or less, Be sure to send your thoughts, comments, or an MP3 to feedback@coffeewithkenobi.com.
Joining us on this topic is the Star Wars Heresies author, Paul McDonald. Paul is a longtime fan of our show, a brilliant and personal guy, and someone who will change the way you look at the prequels forever. We are honored to share a cup of coffee with him and bring you this exclusive interview.
And just a note, if you don't have the book already, jump on Amazon, pick it up, check it out, and listen right along.
Yeah, do your homework for the next show. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's very much like the ultimate book if you were in college and you want to study Star Wars at a really in-depth critical level. This is the book for you, and we're going to have a link on our main page on our Amazon banner where you can buy it. We look forward to talking with Paul and hearing all about the Star Wars heresies.
I like the sound of that.
Echo 3 to Echo 7. Ano, buddy, do you read me?
I saw part of the message.
I seem to have found it.
Our first email is from a very special listener, and he writes, "Hello, Dan, Z, and Corey Club. I just finished listening to Rebels Reactions and was very impressed. I too am a Star Wars fan. Not as big as you or most from your show, but I grew up watching Star Wars with my big brother, Dan Z. We play with the toys, watch the movies. Now we are a little older, and Dan Z has a podcast that I am looking for. Keep up the great work. Not only have you renewed my interest in Star Wars, but I am reading the books on it as well. I love how you relate family and religion into the Star Wars movies. I look forward to your next podcast. May the Force be with you." And that's from Sean Z. And of course, Sean is my brother. I love that. Of course, Sean is my brother, my best friend. And we always have had a good time over the years joking around, talking about Star Wars, all kinds of things. So I didn't even know he was going to send this in. So it really meant a lot to me. So thanks a lot, bro. Love you, man. That was very, very cool.
I thought I was your best friend.
Well, you are, but
I'm joking.
From the podcasters, and then my wife is my best friend too.
Absolutely.
I'm a man with a big heart, Corey.
You are big as a moon.
That's no moon.
That's a space station. Oh, we love it. Our next MP3 comes from Mike Garrigan. He's got some great things to say about the prequels, some of his favorite things, and here you go.
3 things I enjoy about the prequel trilogy are the landscapes, the secondary characters, and the lightsaber duels. First of all, the prequel worlds show a variety of environments that we don't get to see in the original trilogy. The palace on Naboo, the oceans of Camino, and the lava flows on Mustafar each illustrate a variety of cultures that are only hinted at in the classic trilogy. Furthermore, the glimpse of Anakin's life on Tatooine add a dimension to Luke's story as well as to Jabba's palace. Secondary characters in the prequel trilogy are top-notch, action figure-worthy creations. Sebulba the Dug, Watto the Toydarian, and Captain Tarpals from Episode 1 are my favorites. When Captain Tarpals calls for the Gungans to start up the shield, I have to hit rewind a few times. It's awesome. Episode 2 gave us Taun We the Kaminoan, and a very short but unforgettable action sequence of Jedi Master Kit Fisto. The appearance of Chewbacca and Tarfur in Episode 3 is a nice touch as well. I guess this is one way in which the prequel trilogy is quite similar to the original trilogy. Both have a wealth of captivating, low screen time secondary characters that offer the potential for hours and hours of speculation as to who and what they really are. Finally, I think the lightsaber duels in the prequel trilogy are breathtaking. The showdown between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn is every bit as good as the finest martial arts films of the era. I like this duel the best, although every other showdown in the prequels is of a higher entertainment quality than anything in the original trilogy. Granted, the duels between Luke and Vader are more emotionally charged. With those, I feel like it's the story that makes those duels more memorable, not the mechanics. Great topic, great show. Look forward to hearing the discussion. Thank you.
That
How
was
awesome was that? Yeah.
Dude, he was like some professional. I was like, this is awesome.
Yes. Mike, thank you for that MP3. And I feel like we say this a lot because we've got incredibly intelligent listeners. But if ever there was an audition tape to be on Coffee with Kenobi, that was well said, well executed, well communicated. Bravo, Mike. And I can't fault your logic at all. I certainly love the lightsaber scenes, the secondary characters. George Lucas expanded the Star Wars universe with so much depth and detail that a lot of people used to really take for granted. I feel like the pendulum is shifting the other direction. And of course, the locales. I too love Mustafar. You still can't beat Hoth to me from Empire Strikes Back, but the prequels just added so much more depth and dimension. And I find myself, when I think about Star Wars nowadays, I find myself thinking more about things from the prequels, at least recently, but maybe that's because I've been looking at the Clone Wars with so much depth. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. The landscapes, the secondary characters are staples in the Star Wars universe. And like he pointed out, that George Lucas has a plan for all those characters in each thing. And I'm a big fan of Tatooine, so he mentioned that as well. And he also linked Anakin and Luke's locale version as far as Tatooine goes and Jabba the Hutt's palace. And obviously it's almost like a revolving door that we see kind of come back around, and it connects everything. And like we said before, George Lucas knew what he was doing. We always kind of bash the prequels because we're like, oh, they're just tacked on, and it's kind of just a secondary thought, but it really wasn't. George Lucas knew what he was doing, and I think that Mike brings us some great things. And again, yes, this was a great audition tape.
Our next email comes from Aaron Harris, our future reporter for Star Wars Weekends, and he writes, "Great show on Vader with Mike from Full of Sith. Enjoyed his views and passion so much. I went and listened to one of their past episodes. Great stuff. Now if I can only find a place to squeeze them into my list of podcasts. For the topic of this week, the prequels. Personally, I enjoyed them. I even have to say, although I was annoyed by him, I didn't have a problem with Jar Jar either. I remember sitting in the theater opening night for Attack of the Clones. I just come off a 12-hour shift plus inventory at the store I worked at, and at the request of a friend, went to see it opening night. I remember sitting there half asleep through most of the movie. Then Yoda walked into the cave on Geonosis, ignited that small green lightsaber, and went bonkers all over the room. I went from asleep to sitting on the edge of my seat with my mouth on the floor. Great memories. I know the prequels come with a stigma by some for not being as good as the original trilogy, but they are great in their own right. They gave us some of the best lightsaber duels in the saga, some more excellent music by the great John Williams, and a look at what the Republic was like prior to the rise of the Empire. Those people who don't like the prequels, I have to say this. If George Lucas had not made the prequels, we wouldn't have that incredible show that we all love, The Clone Wars. Sorry, I probably went longer than I should have. When I talk of the wars, I just don't want to stop. Can't wait to hear the interview with Craig Weissman. What an exclusive. Just downloaded it so it's on my iPod for tomorrow. Also, I love the new episode of The Clones that were just released. Let me know if you and Corey are going to do a review show for these episodes so I can throw in my 2 cents. Keep up the great work. May the Force be with you and God bless. And that's Aaron Harris. Well, thank you, Aaron. I do remember the first time I saw episode 2 and Yoda came out, and I think I mentioned this on a previous show. But that scene, and then the scene when Hulk throws around Loki in the Avengers, the only times in my life I've clapped and cheered in a movie theater. Very, very thrilling. And as you probably know by now, we are going to start reviewing Season 6 of The Clone Wars.
I can remember when I watched episode 2. I'll tell you a little story here. My girlfriend then, and my wife now, we were going to go see the midnight showing because I was so excited. So I was like, you need to catch up. We need to watch episode 1. So we watched episode 1. It was like really late because we were going to the midnight showing, and she fell asleep. I didn't fall asleep. I watched it all the way through and, really excited about it. And then we got to the movie theater, and like basically we had to sit on the edge of the aisle, wedged in 2 seats, and I remember she was just kind of like, this is crazy, because the whole place was going nuts. People were going dressed up, and then it was exciting. And like you said, that scene with Yoda was just, it was excellent. It was fantastic, and the whole movie itself was just a lot of fun. And I remember walking out, and I was like, well, what do you think? And she was like, oh yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I think she was just humoring me, which is, that's okay. That's good enough for me. She does what she can, and I enjoy it. So very good email, Aaron. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Chewie, get us out of here!
If you would like to respond to our question of the show, have a comment, or just want to say hello, send us an email or MP3 at feedback@coffeewithkenobi.com. Or if you have a specific question or comment for either of us individually, email us at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com or coreec@coffeewithkenobi.com, or visit us at coffeewithkenobi.com and click on the Contact Us section, or comment on one of the stories featured on the site. If you enjoy the show, please write a review in iTunes. You can also like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, as well as keep up to date on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/coffeewithkenobi. You can also find us on Tumblr at coffeewithkenobi.tumblr.com. If you enjoy the jazz music, download the album Eye to Eye by Steve Torok on iTunes.
Give the evacuation code signal.
That's it for show number 16 of Coffee with Kenobi. A big thank you to Consetta Parker for having a cup of coffee with us and for discussing the impact of Star Wars on culture. Be sure to follow her on Twitter at Parker Publicity, as well as to make sure to support Rancho Obi-Wan.
Thanks to Rob at the Bearded Trio, and to everyone who contributed to their show, and to all of you out there who listen to our show and email Coffee with Kenobi. Don't forget to send us your comments and opinions on the topic for show number 17, the Star Wars Heresies.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names and sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi, unless otherwise indicated.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.